outwards this way. And so wherever those two planes or projections met up, it created new geometry. Okay? So if I had a curve right here and a curve that came out like this, it would create a curve that would kind of fit in between those two. Now, the thing that I wanted to point out to you guys is sometimes you might end up having something that isn't showing up in your combined projection that you intended to. For example, I'm going to come back here into this part body and go into my first sketch. I'm going to move this thing back. And if I hop out, my combined projection's no longer showing that last line.
Okay, so why is it mine showing the last line?
So I'll show you. So what I did is I went back here and I changed this and I slid it back, and I exited out of sketch, and now it's not showing, right? If that happens, you need to realize that the combined projection is limited by the length of the two things that you're projecting. So this curve that I have highlighted is projecting in the vertical direction. This curve that is the second curve in my combined is projecting kind of in the horizontal direction. But if there's no geometry for this thing to project against out to that point, it's not going to create anything. So it takes those lines and projects them into space, finds the intersection, and it draws geometry. But if there's nothing to intersect, then there's no geometry creation. So to further illustrate this, if I come back into here and I drag this thing back in, it now shows up because this line is now intersecting with that curve. If I kind of come off to the side, you can kind of see that it's a little bit shorter than that spline is that I created.
So if it's shorter, it'll just stop where the bottom one stops, or it will stop where the top one stops?
The shorter one.
It'll stop on the shorter one.
Okay, so whichever one's shorter.
What? No. Okay. So if you're trying to draw something, and it still does the projection of everything, but if this one is shorter than this line right here, you'll get everything on this one, but you might not get everything on that one. So, but if the line that you're projecting, or you're using as kind of your guide curve, is like infinitely long, that's okay, because then you're guaranteed to get the desired result from the other sketch. Okay? So, we've got a really cool VW hood going right now. All right? So, it says in this homework here that you're supposed to use two sets of combined curves, and they also want you to cut a hole in the hood for an air scoop. So we want to turn our VW into a hot rod. We want to have our engine poking out the top. Okay? So we'll go ahead and do another sketch here. We're going to do it on the same plane as the first one. Okay? And we'll go. I'm just going to do like a box. I mean, I'm going to be lazy today. I'll let you guys do the actual really nice looking curve. So pretend that is kind of the curve that's shown in the lab. So we'll go ahead and do a second combined projection. We could just project this thing up onto a surface, but then it would be a vertical projection and you wouldn't actually get the right size. So to illustrate that a little bit better, there is a tool here called Fill. And if I select that, I can grab this projected curve and press OK. And it will create a surface for me. It's right here. It's called Fill. So you basically, for a fill tool, you just need to have an enclosed geometry of some sort, and it will create a surface for you. And then if I do just a regular projection of this object onto this plane, it just projects it straight up. So it doesn't follow the contour of the curve very well. It may lose size. I mean, if this thing's super curved, this length right here is probably a lot longer than that length right there. So you don't want to do just a regular projection. You'll lose the integrity of whatever it is that you're trying to project in this case. In some cases, if you're just trying to project it to a two-dimensional plane that's in the same plane, that's fine. But this has a curve to it. So what you want to do is you want to do a combined projection again. You'll grab this curve. For your second curve, you'll go ahead and grab that spline. And then now you've got a projection that actually follows that contour of the curve. Okay, so that way you're not really losing any integrity. It's the same size. It just follows the length of that curve. Okay, so that's how you can get something onto a curved surface. You can use that combined projection as well for that. All right, so we want to go ahead and cut that part out so that way we can put our awesome hot rod engine in there and have it poking out of the hood. To manipulate any type of surface models as far as cutting things out or splitting them, there is a tool here called Split, and if you do the drop down, there's another tool right next to it called Trim. Split allows you to take a surface and basically cut it without removing the material. So if I have this particular hood here, and I want to keep this inside portion as well as the outside portion, but I just want to be able to select an edge that exists right there, Split is ideal for that one. Okay, that allows you to keep everything. If you want to cut something out, you should use the Trim tool. So if I use the Trim tool, the first thing it asks for is an element to trim or remove. So I'm going to click on this. That's where it's going to cut. Elements to remove is inside of here. Elements to keep is this. Actually, that might not work the best way. We'll go ahead and do the split. The split's probably easier. Yeah, this one's a lot easier. All right, so we'll just go ahead and split. It's going to ask what you want to split, so you can just select the surface. And then it says cutting elements. You just click on that box right there. Does not intersect fill one, modify cutting element. That is an odd error. Let's try that again. So we've got fill one. That's interesting.
When you did your projection, did you do it just to the line or to the line?
I did it just to the line, which should have been fine.
Well, your line doesn't project to the line.
Yeah, let's go ahead and delete that. Try this again here real quick. So I'm going to project that.
Do it to the support. There you go.
Well, it'll only let me do the line.
No, change your combined type.
There we go.
The one direction, yeah. Now do the.
Let's see, curve one. Direction is. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the combined definition, so I just usually just do normal.
Yeah.
But that should work. I mean, it looks like it's right on there, see? Modify cutting element. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. It worked when I was doing it earlier today. All right. Well, let's see if we can turn it.
So like a lot of those like projecting. I just see.
Let's see. Select an element to trim, remove. Yeah, it's not working. That's very odd. Nope, no solution for that one either. Well, shoot. That's really puzzling. The trim tool has never let me down.
You just worked with something.
No, I didn't project actually.
Well, you know.
Did you combine or project your hood scoop?
Say what?
Did you combine or project your hood scoop?
Yeah, I thought so.
Try, instead of combine, try project.
Yeah, I might have to.
Just go normal. I think it's normal's okay.
Well, if I do a normal though,
It'll still support on your fill.
see, it's not its true shape.
Yeah.
Still not its true shape. That's why I did the combined projection. Yeah, that won't work. That's weird. I've never ever had this problem. Line projection, this onto here. All right, well, we can use planes. I was hoping we didn't have to do this, but you can use planes to trim against as well. So now that you've got that on there, you can do through a point and line. So you grab a point, grab the line. Let's see. Probably don't want that one. We could do through 2 lines. Let's see, no, that's not what we want. We want through 2 lines. Actually, here, let's do this. Let's do a projection of this onto this. There you go. Now if I do the trim tool, or the split tool, oops, try that again here. Split this object with the cutting element being that. Ha! Take that. Okay, so that works. So after I did the combined projection onto the surface, I just projected it up a little bit further, and that seemed to work. It's a nice little workaround. That error shouldn't have popped up. For some reason it did, so I'll have to take a look at that. But essentially, that's one way you can get around it. So we were able to get our the hole in the hood of our car so we can put our engine in, and it looks like it's pretty. I mean, it's got a little bit of an offset, but it's not too bad. So. All right, make sure I got everything here. Okay, so now it says you need to thicken your surface to represent the thickness of a sheet metal. Oh yeah, sure. I can do that again real quick. Okay, so I will undo what I just did. Okay, so I just undid it to the point where we did the fill. Is that going to be okay? And then I'll just kind of show it again real quick. Okay, awesome. All right, so to do this again, I do another combined projection and grab this sketch here, and then I'm projecting it along this line. So that way this curve is in the same direction as this sheet is that I created. Now for some reason, and I'm not sure why, it's saying that this sketch here that has been projected is not even touching the fill, which doesn't make sense to me because they should be. But the workaround that I did for that is I just went to the projection button and I projected that onto the fill. And I said, okay. And so it's a little bit offset. You can kind of see that right now. It's just offset just a teeny little bit, but I think that would be sufficient enough to not really make much of a difference. And so now that we've got those, we can go ahead and use the split tool, select the fill,